the heat on that insurance company and call us.
We'll make them pay you all the money you deserve.
I fought fire with fire and called the insiders. They got me $230,000 for my wreck. Now that's hot.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, call us. It's just that easy.
Call 265-1100.
Good morning and welcome to a special hour of 3+U. Multiple hours actually, because for the next 3 days we are going to focus on a topic few people understand or feel comfortable talking about. The topic is eating disorders, and before you turn away thinking this doesn't touch your life, let us share with you a few facts. Roughly 1 in 10 Americans will experience an eating disorder in their lifetime, but only a third will ever receive treatment. Nearly half of all 9 to 11-year-olds in the U.S. live on some form of a diet, and there is a rising trend of elementary school girls and boys struggling with food. At its core, an eating disorder is a mental health issue. Though as a society we seem to be more open to conversations about certain aspects of mental health, eating disorders still carry a hushed stigma. In Chattanooga, the MCR Foundation is in no way keeping quiet about the disease. Formed in 2005 by Jan Robinson and Ashley Yates, and named for Jan's daughter, Mary Cameron Robinson, who died in 2005 after a nearly decade-long battle with eating disorders, the MCR Foundation works as a resource to help patients and families successfully fight a battle that can feel very lonely, at times helpless, and sadly, can be fatal. Over the next few days, we will talk with experts in the field, survivors who overcame their battle, as well as family and friends of Cammy's who miss her every day. But we begin with Cammy's parents, Jan and Wejun Robinson, as they talk of their daughter and their ongoing fight in her name. So thank you for letting us come to your home.
Sure.
I love it that the minute you walk in the door, you can feel Cammy here. She's everywhere.
She is everywhere. She really is.
And the two of you can smile a bit and you can talk about Cammy with some joy.
Right.
But there was a lot of heartache there. So she struggled with eating disorders, and I'm going to say that plural because you've told me, Jan, she had multiple types, right?
Right. When Ashley and I decided to do a pamphlet on all the different types of eating disorders, I was not familiar with binge eating disorder. And I started reading it going, oh my gosh, that's exactly what she had in high school. She got really heavy in high school. And I would find wrappers and you know, well, it was obviously that she was, you know, stuffing herself, but not purging. And one of the main things they said was, don't ever, if you have an eating disorder, don't go on a diet. And at the time she was getting ready to go to the College of Charleston, and she said, Mom, I want to lose weight. And that Fen stuff had just come out. And I said, no. She said, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And I said, okay, we're going to the doctor. He's going to prescribe it and everything, which they did. She lost a great deal of weight, and then they took it off the market. But my point being, that's when she should have been in treatment, because we were putting on a diet, and her having an eating disorder is the absolute worst thing you can do.
So what happened to set the stage for anyone who is not familiar with Cammy's story? And all you have to do is go on MCR's website, which is mcrfoundation.org. And we're going to be showing you things all throughout these next several shows so that you can learn more about eating disorders, because it is so pervasive in this country. Yet when you talk, Jan, we didn't understand in 1999, 2000, really the complications of it, because it's a mental issue first, right?
Exactly.
You have told me that you think Cammy might have even been born this way.
I think she was. I really do. I think she was born, well, genetically, of course. I mean, I had an eating disorder. My sister had an eating disorder. I really think my father had an eating disorder. So she was definitely predisposed to it. And just her behavior all throughout grade school and everything, she was very consumed with food, and would you know, kind of the whole family would be like, where does Cammy want to go type thing, or we're going where Cammy wants to go.
Do you remember worrying about it, Wejun? Was it ever anything on your mind?
No, not until I was made aware of it, really, and when she was a freshman at the College of Charleston. And she came home one weekend, and she and Jan went for a walk, and she told Jan how her legs had been hurting and different symptoms of lack of potassium, which I still didn't associate. So Jan got a book, and we went through it, and it was obvious that she had an eating disorder.
It can wear you out. I mean, it is so hard to understand. It is so hard to treat. Imagine, like, I mean, if you're an alcoholic, you don't drink anymore, but you have to eat. So it's the hardest thing in the world, I think.
So this whole intention of bringing this to your attention on the show is because if you are walking this path yourself, or someone who you know and love is newly diagnosed, you're desperate probably for answers, and you're desperate for somebody to guide you, and that's what the MCR Foundation does, because it does not have to be like it was in 2005.
No.
We know things now.
We know things, and we also know what to say and not to say. I mean, there are definite things to say and not to say, and not to focus on their appearance and that type thing, because that just feeds it. You want to say, are you okay? I sense something is off with you, or something's wrong. I don't think you're happy. I've always said, eating disorder patients, people, whatever, are some of the truly kindest people in the world. They don't see the world the way everybody else does. They see the flaws, and it hurts their hearts.
Okay, you're touching on something now for me.
I mean, I really do believe that. I believe, like, I heard someone describe it one time as the child that goes, the emperor doesn't have any clothes, and everybody's like, shush, you know. They see, they were very sensitive individuals, and so being unable to cope with some of the hurts that they see, they manifest with these behaviors, I believe.
I'm thinking of somebody I know, and when you made that comment to me, all of a sudden my own light bulb went off, and I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right.
I mean, undoubtedly they will drive, the behavior will drive you, and you think it's so selfish, and calling it selfish is like saying somebody who has cancer is being selfish. They really, truly cannot help it.
So do you think, because parents know their kids best, so Wejun, when Jan talks about her being headstrong and this force, right, and the loud one in the room, and I'm sure that around the family dinner table, she was an awful lot of fun.
She was always fun.
She was a
Always
tremendous
fun.
amount of fun.
But she was a force.
But y'all knew her, so you got used to it.
Sometimes I think I knew her, sometimes I don't. Honest to Pete, I mean, I have said in the past that I don't know if Cammy ever revealed her entire self to anybody, as far as her fears, her just her deep down thoughts and feelings. I really don't.
When you made the comment a minute ago about how you think that people with eating disorders are highly sensitive and they just can't quite accept the world as it is, right, what do you think her hardest part was?
That's a very good question. I think accepting herself.
I think that's true. I do think that's true.
I will never forget, she was seeing a therapist one time, and I was talking to her later, and I said, it's funny, I said, I exercise like a fiend. Wejun exercises. Our son was in every single sport he could be in, and Cammy does nothing. And she goes, there's your answer. She don't want to be like y'all.
She was a good swimmer. She was a very good swimmer.
She was a good swimmer, but I was like, why doesn't she follow suit like the rest of the family, so to speak? And she was like, she doesn't want to be like the rest. Maybe she doesn't think she could keep up with the rest.
She can't keep up.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now, do you think if y'all could have possibly gotten therapy help earlier?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's my whole point. It's, you know, if you try and ignore it, it's not going to go away. It'll come out in other forms, whatever, but it's not going to go away. And, you know, people have said to me, you wouldn't do anything differently. And I'm like, are you insane? Of course
You know,
I
but
would.
when we realized how seriously it affected her. I mean, she was seeing therapists. I mean, even in Charleston, we had her hooked up with a girl who was probably not the right girl, but anyway. We were doing what we thought we should do. And then, of course, she had the heart attack, and we had no choice in. She had to go somewhere. And somewhere that specialized in nothing but eating disorders. And I mean, no alcohol, no drugs, just totally eating disorders. It was even early for those treatment centers, I think. I mean, you know, this center that we sent her to had a top-notch reputation. But when I think back on it now, after we went out there for the week for family camp, I don't think it was where she probably should have been. But that's the place that came to us with the reputation.
And that's part of the reason for MCR.
Right.
Because there is not the time to waste, and there's not the resources to waste, even though you mentioned that insurance will cover it often now, not 100%. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine that parents get very afraid that they're going to go broke trying to find the fix, and then when the real fix comes, there's no money left.
Right. Right. And as far as I'm concerned, they still don't have it right in the treatment centers, because my niece went to one, and it's there's a thing called intuitive eating, which is where you want to be, and that's knowing when to stop and what it is that your body needs, and then and not having food be the total focus. It's just intuitively eating like kids do. Mm-hmm. Are you finished? Yeah, I don't want any more. You know, I mean, and they feed these people to get them to a certain weight so that they can get out, and that's insurance.
And which might mean that maybe letting the insurance carriers direct you as to which center you can go to, which they do. You can throw out a center, no, we don't cover that one. We cover this, this, and this.
So are you saying it's good or bad to go with the one that's covered?
It can be. It's great that they now are forced to help with the payment. Mm-hmm. But in the long run, what Jan's saying makes it bad, which is they may direct these kids to centers that do what they want done, which may not be all good for the patient.
They want to get them
in and out.
In and out. And like a doctor, a friend of mine in Austin, Texas, who is a fabulous authority on eating disorders, says, you know, and then he's a therapist, he said that's when our work starts to undo what's been done, because these girls are put on 5,000 calorie a day diet. Oh yeah.
What?
Oh yes.
All in an effort to get the scale up.
To get the scale up so they can leave.
And the next one can come in.
Right. And then they have to, many times they turn, if insurance would even think about it, these girls then turn around and have to go back in. Let's try and do it right the first time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you mentioned your niece.
Yes.
And you said this phrase, I don't think she will mind if I mention this, right?
Right.
We still have a stigma.
Right, right, right.
Why?
Because it's mental health.
It's mental health.
And people just whisper about mental health.
They whisper about alcoholism. They whisper about drug addiction.
I think what people don't realize is what your body shuts down when you struggle with this, because if you're anorexic, there's no nutrient there. And if you're bulimic, even though you're eating the food, you're expelling those
And what
nutrients.
you're doing is that you're expelling the potassium and the sodium, the two chemicals that have to combine to keep your heart in rhythm. That's what killed her, is the lack of those chemicals. And she knew it. I mean, for a while she was on potassium tablets. I don't remember what occurred there, but she knew that low potassium, she had low potassium, and that it was very dangerous.
You have a story that's, I've not ever heard you tell it directly, but it's been told about you, of a phrase that you'll use, just eat the cake. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, I'll set it up. That moms will so often refrain from having a piece of cake at the birthday dinner,
Right.
or whatever, because no, I don't need to eat it.
Right.
But your children are watching.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, Cammy, I was dieting just about the whole time Cammy was little. I mean, we had an instance where they said, let's go out to, it was my birthday, let's go out to dinner. And I was on the cabbage diet. And I said, no, I can't go out to dinner because I'm on the cabbage diet. And oh, come on, please. I said, no. So I remember they brought me like a banana with candles on it. And I think back now, what a stupid thing. That's a family milestone, and they wanted, and it was so fun to go out to dinner, and I was so stubborn about being on this ridiculous cabbage diet.
But Jan, you said that you had struggled.
Right. So she watched that, and I guess she took in more than I thought she did.
Do you have, if I ask you a question, I'll throw it to you first, Wejun, I'll let you think. Do you have a favorite Cammy story?
You know, there were so many good stories. I mean, she was a lot of fun. Yeah, I can remember when Tommy and Cammy went to elementary school, and I was driving them to drop them off one morning, and I was in this old, beat-up pickup truck that had, you know, when you push the accelerator down, it vroom, vroom, vroom. And so you had to drive around behind the school to drop them off. And in driving around behind the school, all the kids that were already in the classroom were there looking out at you. So we were waiting in the line, and I did that in the pickup truck. And Cammy got on the floorboard. She was so embarrassed. So that was a fun moment for me.
I watched your face, I have to tell you, when you were thinking of the story to tell. And I could be wrong, but I watched your eyes, and you kind of went off into a distance. And it was like you were picturing her in that car.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. And thank you for letting us bring this to people's attention.
It's very important.
I rode my first motorcycle when I was 7 years old, but I have seen firsthand the devastation that occurs when a negligent driver causes a wreck with a motorcyclist. If you or a loved one has been harmed while riding a motorcycle, let Wedemark Keith go to work for you.
The name you know and trust.
Showing how you feel, it's been a